You ever thought about doing something and you think, I don't know if this is going to be a good idea or a bad idea? Well, that's kind of what I'm thinking now. Now, what this is a game box set from for Warhammer 40,000 from Games Workshop. It's a series that they do called Kill Team. You basically have the box comes with two opposing sides, a few figures for each side, some terrain, some other things, and some rules, and you battle it out. And it's supposed to take an hour to 90 minutes. It's not supposed to be this long, involved game like your typical Warhammer 40,000 game that you may have seen pictures of, where there's dozens or hundreds of characters on a 3x6 or 6x9 or just a large table. This is supposed to be a simpler game. Now, what the game comes with is these 10, they're called Kasrkins, I don't know, Kasrkin. Somebody needed to buy a vowel. But these are some elite soldiers in the game, Cadian soldiers, if you're familiar with that. And you've just got a bunch of different characters with different weapons that have different capabilities. And then you've got, depending on your viewpoint, in my mind, my simplistic mind, then you got your bad guys, which are these Necrons. They're robots. They kind of look like Terminators, and they kind of look like droids from the Star Wars episodes 1, 2, and 3, the Clankers. They're basically robots. And here you can see the terrain that comes in the kit. Lots of terrain pieces, lots of little scatter terrain stuff. You've got this gaming board that it goes on, and you set it up and you play it and you roll dice, and one goes, you're dead, and the other one goes, no, I'm not. And anyway, it looks pretty cool. Now, the box is huge. It's almost 18 inches long. It's about a foot wide this way, and it's about 5 inches deep. I'd guess it weighs 8 or 9 pounds. It's a big, big box. Now, I don't remember what the retail price is. I got this from a reseller on eBay who they can sell it at a discount off the Games Workshop price. This was, with shipping, total all-in cost was $157, which that's a big chunk. But here's my thinking on why I'm going to give this a shot. What I'm hoping to do is to paint up this entire box, all the terrain, all the figures, all the scatter stuff, the whole thing, and price it at the retail price. I think the retail price was, I don't remember, $175, $180, something like that. Just start it at that and see if I can at least get my money back. This is something I've always wanted to do, paint one of these Kill Team boxes with the terrain and everything else. It's going to be a project that's going to take a little bit of time. Now, I'm going to try and do some speed painting techniques, maybe speed painting plus. I'm not sure what you would call it. It's something that will get it done quicker, but I still want it to look pretty good. So that's going to be my goal. But in the box, my intentions aside, in the box, number one, you get this rule book, which has all sorts of stuff. It's got rules. It's got what the various figures can do. It's got different color schemes in terms of some of the pictures that they have in here. They show, different ways of painting them, different ways of setting it up. One of the ones that caught my eye was this picture here that shows some of them in kind of a gray look. That's probably what I'm going to be going for, something more like that. But this is the rule book. This is the instruction manual for assembling all of the figures, all of the terrain. Goes over all of the options for armaments and things like that. It's quite a few pages. You can see that it's a pretty hefty thing. Now, a lot of this is redundant in that, it shows, okay, here's a figure, and then here's some of the options for it. And so you go through and you pick all of those options. One of the things I found out that I am going to have to be careful of, and this was something I didn't know until I read about it online, and it's something I have to tuck away in my brain for the future, is for the game, you have to pick certain figures. In other words, you can build X number of this type or X number of that type or whatever, You can only have so many of any one type. So when I make my choices about what I'm going to build and paint, I'm gonna need to make sure I pick something that's going to be useful in the game. No, I'm not going to try and magnetize it. This is going to be a big enough of an undertaking to do without magnetizing it. So I right now my thinking is I won't attempt to do that. Although what I may do is I may send along the remaining bits. I'm not sure about this. I may send along the remaining bits to whoever the eventual, hopefully, buyer is, so that if they want to get additional figures later and put them on there, or pop arms and stuff off of the figures that I build, they can do that. But you get your instruction set there. Like I said, the rule book. You get this board that folds out that you set your terrain up on. And it's got different colors. They've got some that are more kind of reddish. They've got bluish. They've got some greens and all of that. The background terrain looks about the same, but the various overall tone of it. I think I'm going to go with more of a dark gray look for the walls and things like that. Dark gray, maybe slightly bluish. Definitely some rust in it, some chipping and things like that. Again, I'm going to have to focus on how to get it painted to look good, but not spend hours and hours and hours and hours and hours working on it. Because again, I want to paint the whole box, so I'll have to try and be efficient as I'm doing this. And I'll also have to be efficient in terms of making a video of it, because I don't want this video to be 2 hours long. So it's going to be fairly quick and down and dirty, or at least I'm hoping. I'm going to keep it under half an hour like I normally do. Now, one of the complaints that I have read online, and again, not being a player, I kind of wouldn't have thought of this, but one of the complaints that I've read is that what you get in the box isn't sufficient to play the game fully. They continually add to the types of kill teams that you can have in the terrain, and each year they have a different focus. It's like they come out with a main box each year and then several add-ons later. This is an add-on to a previous box. You may remember the Imperial Breacher that I did. Have you seen that yet? Yeah, you would have seen that. The Patreon early release would have been yesterday. So that Imperial Breacher was from the previous box for Kill Team that this was for. But in order to play this, one of the things that it says is that you have to have the Kill Team core rules. Now, what I'm not clear on is that the core rules that goes all the way back to the very first Kill Team release, which was a few years ago, or was it the core rules from this year's update of the Kill Team game? I don't know, and I haven't researched it enough to worry about it, because, again, not being a player, I'm not too worried about it. But either way, you have to spend, at least $157 on this whole set, but then to have the full rules in order to play the game, you've got to find the book that I think, if I'm understanding which one you have to get, it's going to be at least another, if you get it online, you could probably, on eBay, you could probably get it for $45. Retail from Games Workshop is $55. So you've got to spend some additional money to get that book. So a lot of people aren't happy with that, because, you get a box of something that you can't actually play with. Although, if it were me, I would just change the rules and go, okay, when I was a kid, we rolled the dice. And I'd say this guy shoots this guy and would roll the dice. If it was a 1 or a 2, it was a miss. If it was a 3 or a 4, he got turned over for one turn. If it was 5 or 6, he got removed from the board. Simple. That was the rules. After everybody fired, everybody could move. And you could move anywhere you wanted, as long as it made sense. And your friends agreed that it made sense. So we had some real simple rules. So I guess if you make up your own, or if you're already familiar with how the game is played, the mechanics of it, you can just kind of go as you want. but I can see why some people are not happy about how that is handled. Now, what I am really interested in is these giant hunks of plastic. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Looks like 14 sprues of stuff in here, and it's gorgeous looking stuff. Most of it, of course, is the terrain where there's a lot of repetition, but it's modular. You can snap the stuff together so that it forms different angles and kind of set it up however you want. But it's just some gorgeous looking stuff. Now, I won't go through every sprue, but here's like some of the Kasrkin sprues, and you can see the level of detail on these things. There's just such gorgeous detail. The figures and things that Games Workshop has been releasing, I've only been building them for a few years, but even in the few years that I've been building them, I've seen a huge improvement over what stuff was just a few years ago. And this one, man, you get a load of head options, head and helmet options, and just all sorts of stuff. You can put the helmet on them. You can put a faceplate on them. I mean, there's just all sorts of different things, different poses, and if you're just building these to build them, and maybe for a diorama or something, you don't have to worry about the rules of the game. You build it however you want, and it just looks really cool. But those are the Kasrkin, and you can see there's these sprues, quite a lot of sprues that you can build 10 figures with that. Now for the Necrons, I mean, they're just as gorgeous. You've got all these big guns that they have, and you've got the different leg parts and chest parts, and they're kind of skeleton-like looking, but a mechanical skeleton. Again, think Terminator if you're not familiar with them. They've also got, they've got just all sorts of weird little things in there. They've got these two little things, I have no idea what they are, that are something to do with the game. I'm going to paint them. I'm not going to worry about what they are. I don't know. But I'm sure that somebody who plays the game will know what they are, know what to do with them. I just hope to paint them up kind of cool. But they've also got these kind of bigger commander type figures, and you get 8 of these Necron figures. You get different kinds. Some that look like more of a commander figure, some that are more your troopers. Then you've got, the two, thing A and thing B kind of weird stuff. So there's plenty of figures. I'll have a total of 18 figures that I've got to build with this set. I'm just going to show this one sprue of the terrain pieces, but it's got doors that can open and close, because as part of the game, I guess some of the game mechanics are that you can, have a place where there can be a door closed and then they have to open it, and there's, bad guys behind it or something. You can see all of the cast-in detail that's in these. And of course, it's Warhammer 40K, so they got skulls everywhere. Frankly, I could do without that, but, it's part of the game, so whatever. But there's just so many little greeblies on here to paint. This is just kind of a dry brushing paradise here if you want to do that. I'm going to be doing a lot of that. And they have little interesting details. Like here's 2 screens, and here's one of them that's still whole, and one of them has been shattered. So they kind of build in some things like that, some damaged areas. You can see that around the door. The idea is that this combat is taking place on an abandoned ship. Spaceship, and it's just floating out there in space. There's a whole story behind that. But this combat takes place in that, so it's supposed to be very close quarters, tight combat, and you take these pieces of terrain, and you can see there's just different ways that you can connect them together and join them, and they've got these little caps that go where there's angles of stuff, and there's just lots of little little details to have for, for painting and weathering and all of that. I'm really going to be looking forward to the painting and weathering this, and trying to come up with a way that I can get it done so that it looks pretty good, but gets done in a reasonable amount of time. My plan is to prime it a darker color, dry brush it with a lighter color, hit it with a shade, an acrylic shade, very heavy shade, very dark shade, just to cause all of the stuff to stand out. Dry brush it again, and then just start picking out details either with some metallic colors or contrast paints. I think contrast paints will work really well here. I've seen them, other people use them. I've seen them work well because once you get that textured look on from the dry brushing, and I may do some stippling and things like that, once you get that look onto it, some contrast paints over that will allow that to show through. So it should yield good results, hopefully without a lot of time per piece. Now, the fact that I've got like 8 sprues this size to build, yeah, that's going to be kind of a challenge. Now, it also comes with this decal sheet, which is pretty much for the Cadian, the Khazarkin troops. Just some things to put on their shoulder armor, to denote, like squads and things like that. A lot of this is for vehicles. The way Games Workshop does their decals is they tend to make the decals, you get a sheet that has decals for vehicles, for figures, for all sorts of stuff. So it's kind of reusable across the board. And I'm happy about that because I like building the Cadian figures, the Imperial Guard, or the Astra Militarum, to use the Games Workshop term, the newer term. I like them because, one, they remind me of the little soldiers I played with when I was a kid, and two, they're just fun to paint. Lots of different color schemes. And so the fact that they have this one and it's dated 2022, and I've seen other stuff on the Games Workshop community website, I know there's going to be more Imperial Guard stuff coming. I saw they previewed a new tank. I think it's called a Rogel Dorn or Regal Dern or something. I know, Nikki, you just had a heart attack because I got the name wrong. I'm sorry, buddy. but it's one of the coolest looking tanks that I've ever seen to come out of 40K. And I've liked every tank they've ever released. So this one, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm getting that one. But it's got a nice, and their decals are very, very nice. So you get a good transfer sheet that comes with it. This one, when I sell the whole box set, this ain't going with it. I'm keeping this. So anyway, that's what I'm going to be working on. I'm still going to have to be doing other videos, both for Patreon and for YouTube. So those will tend to be, morning and maybe some weekend work. And this will be evening work, because the hardest part, I think, is just going to be getting everything assembled. There's a lot to assemble in this set. So it's going to take me a while to get to it. I wish I was, one of those guys who could do this full time and I could sit at home, and just take all day to build the whole set and then another day or two to paint it and have a video ready. There's already guys coming out with videos of these, but I haven't seen anybody that's tackled a video of doing the entire set. So, in one video. So, if you see me coming back in a few weeks and going, okay, guess what? I'm going to be doing a series of 3 videos. You'll know that it was just a bigger chunk than I could do. But I'm going to try it. I want to do this, see how it goes, to work on some methods of painting that I think would be helpful to show, although it's not like anything original. And also just to see, okay, if I do this whole set, is there much in terms of, people buying it? Is this something that people would buy? Is this something that I could at least make my money back on it? So it's definitely going to be an experiment. So we shall see what comes of it. If nothing else, I get lots of experience painting figures in terrain. So hopefully that will be useful in the long run anyway. As always, thank you so much for being a patron and for supporting me in what I do. It's a blessing to me. It's a blessing to my family. And I am grateful that I'm able to just kind of branch out and do do something that I'm really, really enjoying doing. And you guys are just there. And if I say, hey, what do you think of this or that or the other? Just about everybody says, hey, just do whatever you want. I mean, I might like this or I might like that, but hey, do whatever you want. And I am grateful for that. That means a lot to me. So thank you very much. Happy day to you, friends. Bye-bye.